Hey you all, thank you for joining me here for a new episode of Women of the Bible. This week, or today, I'm going to be talking about a woman named Cozbi. Now, when studying, I had never heard of Cozbi before. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea who this person is. Didn't know anything. But we find her in the book of Numbers, the 25th chapter, verses 15, which reads, "And the name of the Midianitish woman that was slain was Cozbi, the daughter of Zur. He was head over a people and of a chief house in Midian." Now, looking at this verse, we find again another Midianite woman, and these specific women are the ones who God was very adamant and told the Israelite men to stay away from. And God was actually angry with the Midianites, specifically the women, because they were the ones who followed Balaam's advice. And to kind of give you a bit description of who Balaam is. Balaam was a wicked prophet whose main goal was to weaken the children of Israel. And he had advised the women to entice the Israelites to be unfaithful to Yahweh. So just some kind of biblical context and backstory there so we can understand the significance of this woman's actions. Now, the name Cozbi means deceitful, and this deceit helped her seduce the Israelite leader Zimri. All right, so as we go through this specific Bible verse in the book of Numbers, just to give you a little bit of who Zimri is. Zimri is the son of Abraham and his second wife Keturah after Sarah died. So he, as well as many others, actually fell because they followed the Midianite and Moabite women into sexual sin while worshiping their idols. Now, Cozbi followed the advice of a corrupt prophet and did not see her sin as something that was, that big of a deal. Didn't think it was something that she would have to pay for. But she did, and so as well did Zimri, who even as a plague was brought upon Israel, as we read further down within these verses, as a plague is being put upon the Israelite people by God as a punishment for their blatant and immoral actions. The plague actually resulted in the death of 24,000 Israelites. And reading through the scripture as we read, it actually says that Zimri, in front of everyone, as everyone is in the middle of repenting to the Lord for what's going on, for their blatant immoral actions. He actually leads Cozbi into a tent or a place for prostitutes while the others were repenting. So instead of repenting himself, he went on to just continue with his wrongdoing. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Who cares? But Aaron's grandson actually ends up doing right away what he needed to do. I'll put it like that. He did what needed to be done and took care of the problem right away, running a spear through both Cozbi and as well as Zimri. We see this in Numbers, the 25th chapter, verses 7 through 8. Yikes. In the deaths of these two, once these two willfully disobedient persons, the plague on Israel stopped. But unfortunately not before 24,000 persons died. Now, this one, like I said, when I went through the study in regards to who Cozbi was, I had no idea. And then seeing the impact that can happen with a blatant willingness to do the wrong thing it's really kind of heartbreaking. Because of their actions, so many people had to die. Now, Cozbi is definitely a cautionary tale that shows us that sin definitely does paint the right way, and to not willfully walk in disobedience. And we can't continue boldly living in sin and not expect some type of consequence or some type of judgment. And furthermore, our actions can definitely affect others. And with Cozbi, she knew her actions would affect others, and she just basically didn't even care. So she followed the advice of a corrupt prophet who used her to weaken God's people so much that 24,000 died as a result of her willing wrongdoing. Now, we have to remember that, yes, God is just, yes, God is loving, yes, he is full of unconditional love and kindness, and he is our peace, he's our comforter, all of those things. But he also is wrath, judgment, and in this case, vengeance, which definitely is his, which tells us in scripture. Now, our actions can affect our lives, and our disobedient actions can as well affect us for the rest of our lives if we don't stop to think of the risk. And is it really worth it in regards to continuing this disobedience, things like that? And as well, hopefully it fits here, but even in scripture, it tells us to think of the well-being of others. Are we thinking of the well-being even of others in regards to our willful disobedience or willful wrongdoing when it tells us in scripture? That's one of the things that kind of the Lord just spoke to me right now that just came to mind. as it tells the scripture, to look out for others, to be able to do those things, to be able to look at the interests of others. I believe that definitely fits, even in regards to when we're making decisions in regards to our lives, but that can have a ripple effect. I tell this to my kids all the time, be careful with your actions because it can have a ripple effect. And we don't want to have that ripple effect in regards to a wrongdoing that we're doing, in regards to our actions, because we just want to be selfish, we just want to just do what I want to do, my truth, my this, my that. And we definitely live in a time frame where it really is truly, that's my truth, or whatever you feel, just do it, or however you think, just go ahead. But biblically speaking, that is not correct. So we want to make sure that we understand that our actions can have a consequence, and we don't want the consequence to, of course we don't want it to affect ourselves, but we definitely don't want it to affect the lives of other people. So this is definitely a cautionary tale, Cozbi 100% cautionary tale in regards to what happens in regards to our willing disobedience or our willing wrongdoing over and over again in the face of God. So I hope you all learned something. I know I did. This one was one that kind of scared me, like, let me go take a look at the things that I'm doing. A lot of times we may not even think it's even that big of a deal, like, oh, it's wrong, but it's not like that bad. You know how us human beings rationalize things or make it seem like, or kind of placate, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But it can, especially with something that can affect you and your relationship with the Lord, and definitely can be a ripple effect on other people. So cautionary tale, y'all, please. Definitely was one for me. I was like, okay, I don't want that happening. Clutching myself, oh no, clutch pearls, I don't want to do that. All right, so hopefully you definitely all did learn something in regards to Cozbi, in regards to her actions, in regards to that willing disobedience. But again, we can learn things from all these women, good or bad. All right, so thank you for joining me here for an episode of Women of the Bible, and I will see you all next time.